there is a wound that spirals. It starts at the corner of a seal pup's mouth and winds backward along the body like a screw turning into wood, peeling the blubber away in one continuous ribbon until it stops somewhere past the ribs, cut clean to the muscle underneath. Whatever made it did not bite once and let go. It turned all the way around more than once, while the animal was still warm. On Sable Island, off the coast of Nova Scotia, home to the largest grey seal colony on Earth, this wound has a name among the researchers who study it. They call it the Corkscrew, and for more than 40 years, catching whatever they started calling the Corkscrew killer was the one thing nobody on that island could do. By the time anyone started seriously counting the bodies, there were already thousands of them. If animals fascinate you as much as they fascinate us, subscribe so you don't miss the next story. This place is supposed to be the safest a grey seal pup ever is. Every winter, tens of thousands of them are born on this one crescent-shaped sandbar, 40 kilometers of dune and beach, with almost nothing else living on it. Nursed for weeks on milk richer than heavy cream, guarded by mothers that will charge anything that gets too close. There are no land predators here at all. No wolves, no bears, nothing that swims ashore to hunt. The water offshore is too shallow and too rough for most large sharks to work the beach itself. For a pup on Sable Island, the first weeks of life are supposed to be the one stretch of relative safety it gets before the open ocean takes its turn. Researchers first started logging the spiral wounds in the 1980s. By 2001, the count of corkscrewed carcasses on Sable Island alone had passed 4,000. The first suspect was mechanical, ducted ship propellers, the kind that can draw an animal in and spin it against the blades, a documented cause of similar spiral injuries on seals in parts of the North Atlantic. It fell apart almost immediately on this island specifically. The water off Sable Island's beaches is too shallow for the kind of vessel that could do it, and nobody could ever place a boat anywhere near where the bodies were turning up. The second suspect had teeth. Greenland sharks hunt these waters, slow cold water predators capable of taking seals whole, and for years they carried the blame by default, the way any large predator inherits a mystery nobody can otherwise explain. But nobody had ever filmed one doing it, or caught one with a fresh kill, or matched a shark's bite radius cleanly to the wound. The spiral itself was the problem. A shark bites and tears. It does not screw itself around an animal's body in a single unbroken groove and then stop. That left the least likely name on the list, the one nobody wanted to be the answer, because it broke the picture of what a grey seal is supposed to be. There was no fresh reason to suspect another seal. Adult grey seals are not built like predators of their own kind. The mothers on this island are, if anything, the opposite, obsessively protective, nursing a single pup around the clock, driving off anything that gets close. The first real crack in the case came from Scotland, not Canada. In 2016, researchers there filmed a single adult male grey seal killing several pups, one after another, tearing the blubber free from each one in the same unmistakable spiral. It was strange enough to write up and publish, but strange in isolation. One male, one colony, an outlier rather than an explanation for 4,000 bodies across the Atlantic on Sable Island. The piece that finally closed the file on Sable Island came from an accident. In January 2024, a marine ecologist named Izzy Langley was on the island fitting adult grey seals with acoustic tracking tags. Work that had nothing to do with the corkscrew mystery when she watched an adult male lying on top of a live, healthy, freshly weaned pup on South Beach. He dragged it into the water. Photographs from that day show him holding the pup by the back of the neck, tearing pieces of flesh away while it was still alive. Langley's team went looking for how often it was actually happening. Twice a week through the rest of that breeding season, they rode ATVs down the length of the island's beaches, examining and tagging every corkscrewed carcass they found before the tide or the gulls could take it. The final count for that single season, 765 pups. Every wound they examined matched the same signature: puncture marks from a large seal's canine teeth at the entry point, and rake marks from a flipper's claws dragged through the blubber in a spiral, exactly the shape and motion of an animal turning itself around a body while gripping on with its jaws. Piece the mechanics together, and the wound stops looking impossible and starts looking almost mechanical. A grey seal's canines lock onto the pup near the head first, the way any predator secures a grip before it can do anything else. From there, the adult does not thrash or tear the way a fight would look. He rolls, holding on with his jaw while his own body weight and his flippers turn the pup underneath him, and the hide and blubber come away in one long, unbroken strip with every rotation, the same motion at a much larger scale as peeling the skin off an orange in a single piece. Stop the roll early and the wound is short. Let it run and it spirals the length of the animal. Nothing about it requires a special weapon. It only requires an animal large enough, strong enough, and, that season, hungry enough. The why sits in what an adult male grey seal does to himself during the breeding season. For weeks, while he holds a stretch of beach and fights off other males for access to females, he does not leave the sand to feed, not once. Every fight won, every hour spent guarding a patch of beach, comes straight out of a single block of fat laid down over the rest of the year, and there is no way to top it back up until the season ends and he can finally go back to the water. By the last weeks of the season, some of these males are running close to empty, holding territory on a body that is quietly consuming itself. A newly weaned pup, left alone on the beach for the first time while its mother has already returned to sea to feed herself, is nothing but a slab of the exact fuel a starving male's body was built to store and burn. The findings were published this February in the journal Marine Mammal Science, more than 40 years after the first spiral wound was ever logged on this island. Which peculiar story should we cover next? Tell us in the comments. None of this makes Sable Island a colony in collapse. Researchers are careful to say so. Something close to 75,000 pups are still born there most winters, and a toll in the hundreds, ugly as each individual case is not enough to threaten a population that size. What changes is not the number on the island. What changes is the picture of what a grey seal colony actually is, and it is not the only one. With the Scottish case on record too, researchers are now asking how many other seal nurseries have been quietly living with the same thing, unrecorded for just as long. For 40 years, everyone studying this island was looking outward, past the surf line, for something with more teeth than a seal has any business needing. The whole time, the danger to a pup on that beach was never past the waves. It was the shape lying a few meters away in the sand, resting, waiting out the end of a season it had nearly starved through, close enough the whole time to reach it in a single move. Subscribe. The next one is even more extraordinary than this.